Hey voters, Anthony the Internet Politician here. Now before I begin, do not forget to like and subscribe to keep up to date on new content. Today we are again dressing down to answer a viewer question discussed via a Facebook post. Alex of the United States asks, and this is being paraphrased, why are Republicans so hesitant to take the vaccine? So first, Republicans by nature believe that the government should exist in the background only until they are asked to intervene. This is something that I agree with. Frankly, short of paying taxes, public utilities, or renewing licenses, I would generally prefer that the government stand aside. Republicans are also pro-business, whereas the Democrats are pro-worker. I am pro-civility. People should get paid what they are worth and not be treated like indentured servants. This is something that businesses and workers should be able to agree upon. Seeing it in action, that's a whole different story, but I digress. Second, there is a business angle to look at, particularly in the case of the state of Ohio, which just passed a law stating that public facilities cannot require people to have had taken the vaccine before entering. Now, specifically schools, public schools, and public universities, colleges, etc. were cited. It seems rather narrow, but if that's specifically the law, hey, whatever. But I think it was public facilities in general. Don't quote me on that. So the reasoning is that by forcing people to take the vaccine that is currently only approved under an emergency order, liability is created if the vaccine turns out to have lingering side effects. The government does not want to be responsible if it turns out to be the case, and frankly, neither do most businesses. The wording in the law in Ohio specifically cites that the fact that the vaccines must be approved by the Food and Drug Administration, which they currently are not. They were under an emergency thing. They're not technically been scrutinized as much as one would like. Side effects, there hasn't been many long-term ones. Third, ignorance is a powerful tool. There is a lot of misinformation out in the world, and that creates a situation where uninformed people are telling other uninformed people things that aren't necessarily true. The biggest of which is that by taking the vaccine, Bill Gates will implant you with a tracking device. Sorry to tell you, Bill Gates does not need to do that. Neither does anybody at Google or anybody in Apple or anybody at Amazon. Frankly, they are already tracking you through the device that you check every single time that you are bored. You are constantly being tracked if you own a cellular telephone. Getting a vaccine will not make it any more or less true. With that said, this makes the notion of people going door to door offering vaccines seem crazy, even if it were true, and it's not. The government could easily send somebody door to door to force people into taking vaccines if this was a military state, and it is not. At any rate, the act of offering door to door inoculations would also open an opportunity for malicious actors to scam uninformed citizens into taking a shot that may not necessarily be beneficial to them. Scammers always be scamming. The problem is so-called news sources and social media are spreading this misinformation, and that hurts the country as a whole. Recently, the Center for Disease Control released statistics about how many adults in each state received a vaccine. The numbers clearly showed that the percentages in each state approximately matched the presidential election results during the 2020 election. So if the state had 53% who voted for Biden, approximately 53% of the people were vaccinated. Inversely, if 47% of the people who voted for Trump, approximately 47% of the people were not vaccinated. Looking at the electoral map, you can clearly tell by the color of the state being blue or red which state had the majority vaccinated versus the state that does not. In this case, it would be that the blue states had a majority of people vaccinated, while the red states had a majority of people not vaccinated. Now, honestly, I do not see a reason scientifically, let alone politically, that somebody should not be vaccinated. Lasting side effects have proven to be rare, and with the new variants, simply not being vaccinated is essentially gambling with your life. And the government is offering these vaccinations for free. All you have to do is decide to go. It's totally voluntary, so I don't really see the argument. I do see the caution. I don't see the argument of acting like it's being forced upon anybody, and it's not. But I understand some approval steps were skipped, and some people do not feel like rolling those dice. For the last 2 years, we have been living in a weird political state where both Republicans and Democrats have had a hard time being rational when it comes to almost everything. One side or the other blows something out of proportion, and then we see the other side's news network of choice totally deviant from rationality and making it even worse. Would it be weird if I said that I wish that George W. Bush or Barack Obama were still president? We could all agree that those two presidencies each felt like 8 years. The problem is that the last 2 years have also felt like 8 years. Hopefully that answers the general vibe that I got from Alex's question, and I hope that answers the question for you watching in case you were pondering it. At any rate, this is all the time that we have for today, voters. Remember, a good voter is an informed voter who can think for themselves. Do not forget to check out my previous videos on the channel, as well as like and subscribe to keep up to date on new content. Thanks for watching.